The marble halls of Benton County Superior Court echoed with a quiet that felt unnatural. It was the kind of quiet that came right before a storm, heavy, tense, and waiting to explode. People shuffled into courtroom 5B, whispering among themselves about the case everyone was calling. The ticket that should have been nothing, but the man at the center of it wasn't nothing. His name was Master Sergeant Daniel Hayes, 30-year Army veteran who had survived 2 wars, earned a Purple Heart, and trained hundreds of younger soldiers who still called him Top. He was there for a traffic violation, a broken taillight, something he didn't even know had happened until a young, arrogant police officer pulled him over and wrote him a citation with a grin. But the citation wasn't the story. The judge was. Judge Martin Kellerman was known in Benton County for 3 things: his unusually harsh punishments for minor infractions, his deep hatred toward military personnel, and his obsession with absolute control inside his courtroom. People whispered rumors about the veteran he berated in front of an entire courtroom, the servicewoman he sent to jail for contempt, and how he once told a Gold Star mother that bringing up her son was unnecessary drama. To many he was feared. To all he was despised. Today, Judge Kellerman sat high above the courtroom, robe perfectly pressed, chin lifted as if everyone present should thank him simply for breathing. The clerk called out, "Case 245547, State of Washington versus Daniel Hayes." The courtroom stirred. Everyone turned when Daniel walked in. He didn't wear a suit. He didn't dress to impress. He wore what he always wore when facing something important, his veteran's jacket. With his service ribbons proudly displayed and his Purple Heart pinned over his heart. He didn't come to make a statement. His entire life was one. From the moment Daniel stepped to the defendant's table, Judge Kellerman's eyes narrowed. The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Hayes," he said flatly, "remove that medal." The courtroom froze. Daniel looked up confused. "Your Honor," I said, "remove the medal. This is a courtroom, not a parade ground. There's no decorations allowed." Daniel calmly placed his hands on the table. "Sir, with all due respect, this medal doesn't come off for anyone except the United States of America." Gasps rippled through the benches. The bailiff stepped forward. Judge Kellerman snapped, "Bailiff, enforce my order." Daniel straightened, not aggressively, but with the quiet, immovable posture of a man who had stood his ground on battlefields far harsher than this courtroom. Judge Daniel said evenly, "I earned this medal when I shielded 2 of my soldiers during a mortar attack. It was pinned on my uniform while I was still bleeding. If you think I'm going to take it off here, in a room full of ordinary citizens I swore to protect, I won't do it." The entire courtroom went silent. Every head turned toward the judge. Kellerman's face reddened. "In my courtroom," he hissed, "I decide what is appropriate." "And in my country," Daniel replied, voice steady, "that decision isn't yours to make." Contempt. The judge shouted, slamming his gavel, 30 days in jail." People gasped. A few shouted, "What?" Others cursed under their breath. Daniel didn't resist as the bailiff approached, but just as the bailiff reached for him, the courtroom doors opened. A woman in uniform, sharp, commanding, stepped inside. Her badges gleamed under the fluorescent lights. She was Colonel Rebecca Chavez. From the Department of Defense Office of Military Justice, behind her, 2 federal officers followed. Judge Kellerman blinked in shock. "Colonel, what is the meaning of this interruption?" Chavez turned her cold gaze on him. "Your Honor? We're here because you've just violated federal laws regarding military service uniforms and protected veteran status." Murmurs exploded across the room. Daniel looked stunned. The colonel handed the court clerk a sealed envelope. "This is a federal complaint," she said. "It outlines Judge Kellerman's repeated harassment of veterans in his courtroom, including the illegal order you gave just now." Chavez stepped toward Daniel. "Master Sergeant Hayes, you are not under arrest. You are under federal protection." "Please step aside," Daniel complied. The judge sputtered. "This is outrageous." "You can't, but we can," Chavez interrupted sharply. "We've been building a file on you for 2 years, Judge. Today, you just gave us the final piece." The courtroom erupted in whispers. The colonel continued, "You have violated the Civil Rights Act, the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, and federal decorum guidelines. And, according to multiple complaints, You have a long history of discriminating against military personnel, issuing harsher sentences, and verbally degrading soldiers under your authority. Judge Kellerman's jaw dropped. You have no authority in my courtroom. Actually, Chavez said, pulling out a signed order. This comes directly from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Effective immediately. You're suspended from judicial duties pending a full investigation. The judge's face went white. Chavez stepped aside and gestured to Daniel. Master Sergeant Hayes, would you like to make an official statement before we escort Judge Kellerman from the bench?
Oh.
Daniel paused. 1,000 memories flashed his soldiers, the nights spent in cold desert air, the explosions, the losses, the sacrifices. He stepped forward slowly. The entire room waited. Then Daniel looked the disgraced judge square in the eye. Your Honor, he said quietly, a courtroom is supposed to be a place where justice is served, not where service is mocked. You tried to strip a medal from a man who wore it for people who never came home. The judge looked away. Daniel continued. You forget something important. These medals aren't shiny objects. They're stories. They're pain. They're brothers and sisters who didn't make it. And you tried to take that away to feel powerful. Chavez nodded solemnly. Daniel finished. Sir, if a man like you is allowed to sit on that bench, then justice isn't blind, she's wounded. The courtroom broke into applause. Tears streamed down the faces of several veterans sitting in the back, even the bailiff. Once Stern looked down with guilt. Judge Kellerman was escorted out, red-faced, defeated, and finished. His career was over. In the weeks that followed, the story exploded nationwide. The Department of Justice confirmed that Kellerman faced charges for civil rights violations and judicial misconduct. Daniel received hundreds of letters from Americans thanking him. The city council invited him to speak at a ceremony honoring veterans who had been mistreated by the justice system. When he stepped on stage, he wore the same jacket and the same medal because it still didn't come off. Not for a judge, not for a courtroom, not for anyone, only for the country he loved.